All right. We're here. We're going to do some roast your posts. Now, I've got a bunch of people that are actually sending in these posts. They've been using my roast my post form. Ryan Yaki, by the way, you guys all know me. And I'm going to also introduce my co host that's going to help me walk through a lot of these, and we'll be here, for the foreseeable future. So, this is Neil. Neil, you want to give everybody 2 cents about you?
Yeah, so I've been in the higher education sector for nope, that got awkward almost immediately. What I like to tell my kids is that I went to school for 30 years straight because as soon as I graduated college, I stayed in the higher education sector and went into management and things like that. Got my MBA and everything. So from my perspective, when we do this, I will only have known to do this from like a hiring perspective. So anytime I have questions about what you're doing, like I get to be the layman, which is really fun because I'm usually just the person on the panel who keeps bringing up that's not how we do this. No, we have to follow these guidelines and all of those things. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to it. We have not really seen these profiles at all, other than just setting it up for this recording. But we're going to run through probably at least like 5 or 6. We'll see how many we get done in this time frame. And you'll get 2 different takes on how this works, which I think is actually more valuable than you might realize. So off we go. All right. So, Mohammed, thanks for submitting your stuff. So, first thing I see when I walk through is obviously your big banner that's sitting at the top. Um, Albeit when I look at it, the biggest thing that is a standout for me is that some of the text is really small. Like, what do you do? And especially what we're not looking at here, just to give everybody a sense too, is if I can open this up, is that the view on mobile is actually going to be way different. So when you get to a mobile screen, this is something that everybody should be aware of. A lot of recruiters are going to see it like that. I can't tell at all what that banner is saying to me. So one thing to pay attention to, whatever your goal is, and if I look a little bit lower here, I see that like one of your big objectives is marketing your Fiverr services, right? Like you really want to do all of that. Or if you're still in this, looks like you're all done with immigration. So now you're on Fiverr services, and any of those Fiverr services are going to be important to you. So I would put that like way up at the top, right? Something bold, big print up here. Your logo's fine, but I don't know if it actually tells enough of a story for you quickly. So something like, top Fiverr producer. Here's the like 2 or 3 big things for you. It's HR services, bookkeeping, right? Project management, virtual assistants. So you do quite a few things, but pick a couple, put it in the banner. Your profile picture is good. It's very professional and stands out fine. You could do something that's a little more candid if you want, professional, but still candid, right? And if you look at some of the other folks on the side here, it's hard to tell what people look like if you're looking at Ariba or Liba or Yi. Yi probably stands out the most because you can see this gray background against her head. For you, I would imagine if I saw your picture on the side, the background that is probably the building, even though it's blurred, might make it difficult to see who you are. So if you can get a solid colored background behind your head, you can use Canva to do that. Any image service these days can do that for you. So take care of that.
So
Yeah,
I'll jump in step 1 with a question. What is, from LinkedIn's perspective, and especially what you're doing, like what is like rule of thumb when it comes to having a logo as a profile picture? Because because from my perspective as a person, if they were trying to really like make a brand on Fiverr, like there's a reality where you become that logo and not as much the person. But I don't know that that's a thing that's widely accepted on LinkedIn.
I would say it's not widely accepted.
Okay.
I would save, and it's a good question, I would save the logo for like a branded page. So instead of saying I'm self-employed at Fiverr, which is fine. You could go create your own business account in LinkedIn and use your logo there as opposed to saying you work at Fiverr. That would be the way I would do it. And then you can post updates to your business page, which your business is the business of Muhammad Hassan. However, your logo might mean like, yeah, it looks like it actually stands for H for Hassan. So use that would be kind of the way I would think about that. Your picture attached to your profile, because this is your personal profile, should be you. That's my take on it, at least.
Yeah. But I agree with you, like Yi being a perfect example of being able to read that at scale, because my first thought when I saw his picture was great picture, bring him to the forefront a little bit more. Just because especially when it comes to a review process of things, they happen at scale potentially. And so then when you're going through so many, everything, and it's kind of going to the exact point that you're making, is everything needs to be almost instantly readable. And if it's not, then it's not going to get read.
Yeah. And, it's like for the 400-ish connections that you have on here, right? Every connection, every touch point to your profile matters a lot in this case. So you might have like 1 or 2 people come visit you right now. I'm taking like statistics to scale here, but every 1, 2 you want to make count. So make it easy to stand out. In addition to that, I would say like your headline, your tagline here of HR operations and project coordination professional, I think could work. It just depends on which focal point you want to have for your business. The one thing I would say to add is something along the lines of, I help people with project management. I help people with HR operations, project management, payroll. Pick a thing. Pick like 1 or 2 things and say like, you say focused on structured growth and strategic operational frameworks. Good. Probably a little wordy, right? It's like, I help people with bookkeeping, systems, HR support. And I think that would read really well to a lot of people. And it's easy. The other thing that this is really important for, this is probably the most important facet of any LinkedIn profile, is every time you comment on somebody else's post, that's the things people see under your name, right? So if I go out and comment, people see the tagline from my profile under every comment I have. So every time somebody sees your name, they're going to be like, oh, Muhammad, HR operations and project coordination professional. That's cool. As opposed to Muhammad, I help with bookkeeping in HR operations and projects. Something like that, right? Would read much clearer, would be my take.
Okay. So then do you look at that almost as you're going around LinkedIn, almost like a baby elevator pitch for yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is like your intro. It's like a 1-minute elevator pitch, 30-second elevator pitch.
Yeah. And because you're, like you said, then you're carrying it everywhere you're going and everything you're doing. I did not realize it. I just didn't realize, I guess, then every place it's showing up. So I guess the secondary question would be, how much do you ever advise anyone on changing it? I mean, obviously initially changing it to get it to be something that is showcasing what you do more, but what are kind of like a catalyst for change for it? Obviously picking up a new role or things like that. But I almost feel like once you kind of get it locked in, you want to stay there just for consistency's sake.
Yeah. I change mine a lot. A lot being once every 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
The reason for that is like my own business has changed every 3 to 6 months anyway. What I focus on changes. And what I want people to click into my profile for changes too. And I think that happens with anybody. The premise of what I write in there, though, is pretty much the same. One thing I would say is that anybody can go do kind of like long-term A/B testing with this and say, oh, hey, you could try for a month and say, I help people with structured growth or strategic frameworks. if that doesn't net more people clicking into your profile, maybe change it up to I help people with rapid WordPress development or life-changing graphic design or AI implementation, right? Which is some of the other lines you have in your banner or in Mohammed's banner. And so in that case, it's like, or I am a top 10 Fiverr professional for this, right? Whatever makes people feel like, oh, I've got to go click into that profile and go talk to Mohammed. So something along those lines. But yeah, in the beginning, you can change it all the time until you find something that you feel like is sticking. And the way to tell is in your analytics, and I won't get into my personal ones yet, but you can see how often people are clicking into your profile, and you'll see a change pretty quickly, especially at an account size like this. It's very fast.
Yeah, and it's like you said. So specifically with the banner, you're thinking that, especially with the idea that if he's wanting to drive, one, connections, but two, possibly more specifically towards Fiverr, that should be the forefront.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, if there are any statistics or analytics of the success of his Fiverr account, like that should be in the banner.
Big time. Yeah. I mean, he's already put the effort in to make that profile or to make that business, right? He's been at it since July 25. So he's been going for 9 months. I'm sure he's had some successes by this point. I hope you have, Mohammed. And I would definitely lean into those metrics if you do have them, sold, $10,000 worth of Fiverr sales or helped over 100 customers, right? Something like that, I think would be fun to call out, easy to call out too. But good question as well. And a good point. Like any metrics that you have for these pages goes a long, long way. The About Me section. So shoot, I wish I hadn't clicked that out. So this is roughly what sits above the See More link on his About Me, right? And if I read it out loud, as a driven and detail-oriented professional in HR operations and project coordination, I am committed to supporting business functions that demand structure, precision, and strategic execution. My journey spans hands-on experience across administrative management, operational planning, and cross-functional collaboration. Each role, sharpening my ability to contribute to organizational efficiency and sustainable business outcomes. That is a mouthful of words. Even for me, native English speaker, tough. The thing that I actually like more is the stuff that happens below the line. Like this stuff, let's see. I've worked in environments that required a lot of these, which is good, but actually it's down here. I'm particularly focused on organizational structure and efficiency, scalable business operations, professional development. My career vision is to grow within professional environments, might be a little more casual with some of the words, that value structured execution, high performance culture, and a global standard of excellence. Let's connect and explore. So like this last 5 lines are the strongest lines that he has in this About Me section, which I would probably push to the top. Because you want to entice people to read more about you. This reads as more of like a canned response in a resume, like a classic CV or resume, right? Not a, hey, this is why I'm valuable. This is my experience, and here's what I can do for you, which is probably how I would structure this. Something along those lines. Like, I think at this point in the world, almost everyone is proficient at Excel and Google Sheets and document systems. Like, if you're not, it's not hard to get more proficient at it. So I don't know if you need that line at all. This might be useful. Like, I would flip some of the wording in this, but human capital support, data accuracy, operational alignment. I bring solution-oriented mindset and a commitment to quality in every task. And then that's when you could start talking about all the tasks you've completed on Fiverr that relate to that. Here's my successes. Top Fiverr professional, ABCD, right? I think that would go well. Down here too, a fun thing to try if you want, Mohammed, is to say, hey, DM me interested, or DM me HR professional. And you'll be surprised at how many people actually read your about me and will DM you that over time because they're interested at that point to learn more.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, maybe this is an adage or a thought process that still exists and is out there. But so for the about me, I'm thinking the same way that news articles are written, or at least were. I think everything's written very catchy now.
Yeah.
But the original way was that the first sentence should hook you, the first paragraph should keep you.
100%.
And so like I'm thinking like that's kind of what you're bringing up is almost like that very bottom sentence feels more of kind of the essence of the page of like, oh no, let's connect and let's make meaningful, well, even the bottom one, like let's
Yep.
make meaningful collaborations. And then, okay, but what kind of ones are we making? My career vision is to grow, and then you're explaining them. And then the rest is like really into more of the nitty gritty details about the actual rest of the profile and everything else.
Yeah, big time. And I think this doesn't have to be a long thing. Your resume is your resume down here. If people really need it, it's here, and that can explain all of that. But up here, it's like, this is why I'm different. And like you said, that's spot on. Your first line should be like the hook, right? And to come up with an engaging hook on the spot would be like, ever dealt with fibered workers who are not professional? Ever dealt with HR associates who forget everything? That's not me. Work with me and I'll show you what meaningful connection actually looks like. And so I think something like that is engaging and enticing enough to get somebody to see and read more right off the bat. So things like that would be certainly much more valuable than this. This is a good first stab. It's what a lot of people do. The other thing that's not here that you could take advantage of, Mohammed, is there's the idea of featured sections. Now, this is where I will actually go to my profile and show it, because I think, let's see, because I have too many of these open. There we go. These, you have access to doing this, Mohammed. So you can make two big or one giant featured block that includes a link to your Fiverr profile. So people know immediately, oh, hey, this is what I do. You could make these images in Canva for free or go to Gemini, have it generated for you for free, but build it.
I'm not gonna lie, you get wild with it and go on Fiverr and find someone to make these.
I'm sure you know how to do it if you're already a graphic artist. So you have that option already. Take advantage of it. It doesn't cost anything. You don't need a LinkedIn Pro profile to do it. So, and you have a couple of things here, but I would get links out to your actual like Fiverr as opposed to your resume, which your resume is already here. So you don't need to do it again. And your article and a link are fine, but we could give you a little bit more. This is most likely an AI generated image. Not bad, but most likely. So that being said, there's that. I wouldn't change anything about the experience. That stuff falls to the wayside on here more than you'd imagine. And the Duolingo score is pretty fun. Not going to lie. I didn't even know you could do that. So hats off.
Neither did I. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. So there you go, Mohammed. That gets you across an enormous chasm and helps to build up a profile for you. So there we go. Mohammed. Moving on. Nahala, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. So now that we have like a working understanding of the stuff that I do think about, one that's obviously sort of lacking at the moment is we just don't have a banner for you. So I think you have a lot of, you work with executive voices, you work on, national security sector, building authority for the C-suite. So you've worked with C-suite people and in a security capacity too. Obviously, since you're in national or working within an advisory to a national security department, you want to be careful about what you share. So don't share too much. I'm sure you already know this. And if I'm just, preaching to the choir, don't worry about it a whole lot. But really something to draw towards your brand at the top here would be awesome. Whatever it is that you're really, really focused on right now. And so your profile is really light, and I'm not sure that's on purpose. But if we want to start building up your presence, then focusing on being an executive voice architect is probably the big one. That's the one that stands out the most to me. So it would be like Mihaela, executive voice architect, working within the security sector, but helping C-suite build, right? Or I help the C-suite build their voice, something like that. Your profile picture is good. It's close. And much like what I was talking about with Mohammed, if you check out his a little bit earlier, just put some sort of plain colored background behind your head and it'll help your head pop. It'll be so easy to see. And you really don't have to change a lot here to make that happen, I would say. Then you don't have to use your full name by any means. And I understand from a security perspective, you don't want to do that. So don't. But if you feel so inclined to share your full name and be in that place, it helps people immediately recognize who you are. I actually think your headline's not bad, to be honest. And we can see it up here. This is what it would look like under a comment. So strategic advisor, executive voice architect. Some people might want to know what an executive voice architect is. My take on what that is would be like, you're going to help C-suite leaders understand how to present themselves externally and maybe even internally. And what does that look like? And how do I create a brand presence? So you kind of understand brand already. From there, we can go look at that. 94 connections. So for you, it's just going to be kind of building breadth and exposure. And I'm sure from a security timeline, you just haven't done that in your career for obvious reasons. But if you're starting to build a brand now, I'm taking this under the premise that you're going to build a brand of some sort or a presence online. So connecting with more people will help get the exposure out there for you. From there.
Because my interpretation, especially if you have the idea of executive voice architect, the idea that you have assisted people in that sector to find their voice either internally or externally, because I think of moving into the C-suite and then having to be respected. That's a difficult thing no matter how far up the ladder you're going. And even if you're coming from the side into a new place, or if and it's even more difficult if you're just going up the ladder in the same place. But the fact that you're helping people establish their voice, like, that's a very interesting thing. And I think there's a lot there. And like, I think I don't necessarily know how to showcase it quite the same way, but I think if that's the thing that you are trying to drive at, I think that there's a lot that you can mine out of, because I think that that is such a valuable thing that so many people struggle with across just about every sector. Of, I am in this new role and I do not know how to establish myself. I think literally back on the shelves somewhere is First 90 Days, a book I read when I took like my first bigger management position, because that adage is that like within the first 90 days, that's it. You're kind of locked into how people are going to feel about how you are in that new role. So yeah, helping people find that voice in their new role, I think could be a huge brand.
100%. And I think it actually is represented in her about section as well, where my goal is to ensure your communication is as structured, resilient, and impactful as the organization you lead. It's like,
I want that to be, I already want that to be your first sentence.
I know, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. One thing I would call out, Mihaela, too, is like what you wrote in your about section. I won't read it verbatim for everybody else, but it is actually, it's really good. It just needs to be broken up. Like, put spaces between each sentence is what I would say. Kind of like how I write some of my posts online, but just break up every sentence and it'll make the whole thing read really well. I would definitely, you definitely understand how to brand things. So I think it's just spending a little bit of time with this, and you probably are very, very close to doing it, which is kind of fun. I called this out in Mohammed's too, but if you do have some sort of featured product or service that you're offering now that you're kind of building this base out, put it in here in that featured section, but it'll end up between the about and activity. Link out to either your services, or maybe it's like booking time on your calendar, or just a picture that says, hey, DM me if you're interested in voice architecting services, something like that. The other side is you've actually been busy on LinkedIn too. I didn't spend time on this with Mohammed, mostly because his profile is there, but yours is starting from a smaller place and you're actually posting content fairly regularly for where you're at. Use images in your content or video, or create a carousel. You can go look at my content if you want to eyeball what this looks like, and do that, because I think it'll really help you stand out a lot. And you definitely have the experience to show for it too. Beyond those big things, I think that gets you very far from where you're at today. So anything else to add, Neil?
No, I was thinking like banner wise from like a visual perspective, there's a lot you could do depending on how much you want to invest in it. Because as with all of this, it's what you think fits for you and what you think you can make the most genuine is a big piece of this. But like the idea of voice architect also like plays with a lot of visual aspects that I think are really interesting that you could do with your banner. If you're playing with both voice and architect, I just think there's so much there from a visual perspective. Again, shout out to Fiverr if you're looking for something to get a piece of artwork done that I think would be really catchy and I think would read really well at scale. Again, going back to the idea that what is readable on both the web and mobile, I think there's something you could do that marries both of those together that would catch and put yourself just out there instantaneously compared to other profiles.
Yeah, 100%. Just a reminder, view it on your phone after you're done playing with it, right? Just double check that it looks okay on your phone, on your mobile device, right? But yeah, I think yours is actually like an easier one to build off of. One, you're starting from a smaller place, but it will translate really well. And especially with LinkedIn, like there has to be thousands, tens of thousands of C-suite execs that need voice architect help, and it will stand out very quickly. Lean on your experiences too. I didn't mention this before, but whatever you can share, I know it's national security, so you can't share names and people, but if you've helped people or you have experiences that you could draw on to tell the story, I know you know these things, but I'm going to assume just even reading this that you know those things. Bring the stories that you can into the About Me section or into your banner, right? I've helped or worked with the National Defense College of Romania, or worked with the National Defense Department of Romania. That's a huge thing to call out.
Yeah. This is an interesting skill. So I'll throw it out there as a piece of advice and that's why I'll say it, because I think it's a great piece of advice for anyone. Try, and going off of what you're saying, is try telling a story that you already know and basically go full dragnet with it. See if there's a way that you can tell that story to someone without like revealing details. Just because within the business world or just any of these worlds, there are times where that's required. Like you do need to convey that you know this information and you have had these experiences, but you do have to protect the people and the businesses and the rest of it, because you cannot divulge the information. Because like I've done consulting work and like I have to represent the information and experience that I've had while also 100% protecting that relationship and the things that I learned directly during it, but also proving to the next client like no, I definitely know what I'm talking about and here's why. But not saying, oh yeah, because I worked with this person and I did these things for them and this is their this is all their details of their business.
Yep.
I don't want to be in that water.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, just an exercise to go through is trying to tell stories in just a safer way.
Oh, big time. Yeah. And I really, Mahela, I don't want you to get in trouble at all. So please be careful. That being said, I grew up in a military family, so I understand national security and defense and all that kind of stuff too. It is very important. So play it safe. But great kicking off point, and you have a ton of opportunity with this. All right, moving on. So NO, founder and luxury travel advisor from the UK. Hello, across the pond. So couple, I think you'll see a theme coming out. Actually, the one thing that stands out right away is that your About Me section is really well formatted. Profile picture, if you have something that's close up, right, on your face. I love that you're actually in a travel location. So I think that's really cool. You could actually just take this picture and zoom it in right on you, because you're obviously in some beautiful looking area. Looks like somewhere in Eastern Europe. I'm just going to take a stab at it. And you're in a place that looks like what you do. So I think that's actually a bonus to you. And it actually, really encapsulates your head really nicely. So profile, just get close up so people could see you and get to know you.
I would say from like a framing and logistics perspective for that profile image specifically, is if you have an image where you're looking the other way, it's probably going to work out better for you long term, because looking back at Mohammed's, when the stuff comes up on your profile picture, it's going to be on the left hand side, and that's what's going to get covered. Also, if you ever this next is not for everyone, let's preface, but sometimes people will play a lot with marrying their profile picture with their banner.
Oh yeah.
And the only way to do that is if you're looking, or and working more towards that direction. So that's just a little thing, would be having yourself either looking straight on or potentially in towards the banner. Again, only because what I've seen with LinkedIn is that anytime they have a tendency to put something on the profile picture, it's on that left hand side, and I think it just gets a little busy.
Yep, it's a fantastic call out. I don't know, depends on how your industry is going to go. If you do start hiring people, that hiring banner for you is the one that's probably going to show up, especially in your luxury travel sort of space. Banner, you could keep this kind of banner, however, put the name of your business at the top of it. So luxury Angel Escapes, right, is the name of your business, which is cool. And you've been in luxury travel for a long time, 10 plus years. So for you, and this is just looking at it at a very quick level, I haven't gone deep in your resume or your history, but you could say 10 years of, luxury travel bookings, or, and obviously I'm taking this from a US English language perspective, so put the UK slap on it. But that being said, call out sort of the tenured experience or the places that you primarily try to get people to travel to, whether that's in Europe, in whatever, if you're sending people to the States, call out those places. What's your detailed idea of luxury travel? And you have it kind of written down here in your About Me section, which I'm just going to skip over your headline for a minute. But I believe luxury travel is not about excess. It's about ease, care, and intention. That's a rock solid intro.
Yeah.
Rock solid. And you could take ease, care, and intention, or luxury travel without excess, and put that in your banner. This is gold for you, and highly happy with what you've got going on. I work with, exactly who your audience is, by the way. I work with discerning professionals and families who need people to help them travel. I would happily book your services if you do this that well. That's amazing. I'm not the right person for budget travel. So great. You know who you're not working for. This is probably one of the best About Me sections I've seen in a while. I'm already sold on this. If you value thoughtful preparation, discretion, smart for the discerning professional,
especially with the luxury, because you've already told us who you are for and not. That is also a fantastic follow-up.
Oh yeah. And travel that feels effortless. I welcome meaningful conversations. One minor addition to try. At the very bottom, just say, hey, DM me luxury, or DM me something, intention, pick a word, right? Mm-hmm. So that people feel enticed to immediately go DM you. Instead of I welcome meaningful conversation, which is good. However, we want to just really push people that extra like 5%. I'm already telling you, I know your profile is fine as is in this particular category. Just tell people to do something as opposed to kind of passively telling them to talk to you.
Yeah.
Force the conversation.
Yeah, and I think you said 5, so I'll try a 10% idea. And this again, comfort level and where you're at with your business and everything. The other one that came to my mind was DM me a destination you've always wanted to go to.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. That's cool. So yeah, I know. Like about me section, like
Cool.
amazing. So you have the makings right here for the rest of your profile, like no doubt. Your website's linked here. I didn't talk about this with the other ones because people weren't actually linking out to anything yet, but I'm assuming, I'm not going to go to this right this second, but that you have your luxury travel website. So as long as people go there and you could capture leads and do the work that you need to there, that's great, right? Set that up. So coming back up here to your headline, now that we've read your About Me section, you have some opportunity with your headline. Founder and luxury travel advisor. So this is again where I might even just take the first line of your About Me section and paste it up there, right? With some modifications like luxury travel without excess, or or thoughtful travel that feels effortless, right? Effortless travel, effortless luxury travel. I help discerning professionals and families have, travel without excess, something like that. And so basically you're calling out who your ideal audience is, what you help them do, and the areas that you care for. So if you do actually only do certain destinations, like if you deal with just the EU or just Asia, or if you have a specialty, make sure that's in there too. That might be the only addition, but I'm assuming as a travel advisor, you're probably booking worldwide, especially in luxury.
Yeah, but I mean, it's structured in such a good way because it's not the kind of thing that necessarily needs hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and it doesn't work that way. You're looking to land a handful of the right people, and that's why not only does the with the kind of universal design concept for what's happening in the About Me, I just kind of thinking about it, like it's almost imperative that a business like this does this because you can't handle 100 clients right out the gate. But if you had 5 that know that luxury is not excess, but it is ease, care, and intention, and it is not for the budget minded, like this is the exact way to land the people that you're looking for.
Big time. I mean, this is pretty excellent. Another addition that I didn't get into with other folks because they don't have it yet, but your Angel Escapes page that you have set up for your business, make sure you have the logo for it. If you have one. If you don't have one, find a couple hours on a Saturday or something like that to make one. Have that. I'm going to assume that you do at this point with how everything else is structured. Add it in. That way it just looks a little more complete than sort of the default business boxes that they have there. London, what else are we missing? The only other thing that you might add is like the kinds of successes you've had in booking vacations for other people. That might be the one thing that you could add to your About section. You don't have to though, because again, you're discerning, so you don't really want to share a whole lot. But if you have some stories that you could share that it's like, hey, I've booked thousands of luxury vacations. I don't know how many you've done. 10 years in the business, I'm going to imagine you've booked over 100 at least. And if not more, if you've been in the business longer. The other thing that we've talked about in previous ones, you have the option of creating this featured section. This is a great opportunity to link out again to the Angel Escapes business website to capture those leads. Yours seems more structured than some of the other ones I've seen. So one thing you might want to think about is taking that next step for your business and creating some sort of lead magnet or an idea to like a place to go teach people via email and create your own newsletter to educate them on luxury travel and what that looks like, and educate them on working with you. And I think that's a place, it goes two ways, right? Because you talk about some of this in your own posts, which you worked on about a month ago. But we also want to kind of like get those luxury clients through here, which I think you have an opportunity to do.
Yeah. So for like that featured section and then the lead magnet, would you have it be going to like more specific spot in her website then?
Yeah, if we open her website real quick, man, this looks very pretty. Okay. I mean, literally, basically worldwide is what you deal with. Why travel with us, how we work, this treasured memory, which, hey, these are great testimonials to have. You could link just to this part of the website.
Okay.
Would be my suggestion. Get people in, have them try and fill out a budget. This is a lot of information for somebody to just immediately give up. My only caveat with this would be create another page that's just email, and maybe like what's the most important to you. If it's phone number or email, I don't know what's the best for your business, but without talking to you, but name, email, and maybe phone number. And that way you can get a sense of those people and try to contact them.
You and I have both been in the tech field for an extremely long time. So what's very funny to me is the basis of what she's doing on that webpage is very clear to me, because the only thing, go back down to the form, go to the form. There's only 3 fields that are required, and there's basically 3 things that you and I have mentioned combined.
That's funny.
Make that. Yeah. It's the name, with the asterisks, it's the name, it's the email address, and it's the destination are the only things that are actually required to complete this inquiry. So if that's all you're requiring, as you're saying, as the lead, then out of LinkedIn, just do those, and then let it be those.
Big time. I think personally that's spot on. You could probably eliminate these off of your form in here on your website. This is me just spitballing. Test it. If it doesn't work, put it back in, please. But you could eliminate these. The fewer options people have to choose from, the easier it is to get them to do something and take action. For you, take action is getting more contacts so that you can actually book more vacations or book more trips, and ideally have a long-term client that feels like they've been taken care of. Since I'm here, one thing is like put some more information about you in here, Enno. Like, hey, I'm Enno. I've booked, vacations for people for over 10 years all over the world, and I've had a ton of success doing it. I love my job. I love to travel, blah, 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 blah. Make the connection from what they just saw on LinkedIn to here, so that they know they're talking to you or they're working with you. Would be a suggestion there. Coming back here. Yeah, if you have the logo for Angel Escapes, curating luxury holidays, the only thing that would probably slow you down is just the sheer quantity of connections that you have. 68 is good. And it's like Neil said earlier, you don't need a ton of business for you to be successful. Like, obviously more is better. And if you really want to grow your business, you need more. But here, work on the outbound and start connecting with people, comment on other people's stuff, get active in the community. The one thing I'll say too is that you've posted, I think, a couple of times. Yeah. So take time to make an image for every post that you have. And just what you have is probably okay. You just need to space things out a little bit, just like your About Me section. But otherwise, you're on a good clip already. So, yeah. Anything to add, Neil?
No, I think that the biggest thing is, and like you said last time with this one, I'm dead set that this is preaching to the choir. But with these clients, one of the biggest marketing pieces is going to be that they tell other people they know.
Yeah.
And so like that's the, you know, the connections that happen inside of LinkedIn. Like once you're getting this ball, like for this type of thing rolling, it's going to end up being that they tell people that are similar to them the experience that they had, and then they will connect you with them.
Yep. So there you go. I know that's one for you. Okay. I think this might be our last one for the day. All right. Kimenta Govender. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. So MBA graduate, purpose-led work, writing, storytelling, and communication. So it sounds like you're in writing, would be storytelling. I'm an MBA graduate who values calm thinking, hard work. So yeah, writer. I have a natural love for writing. Strengths are storytelling, communication, creativity, reflective thinking, content writing, and attention to detail. And then currently an ESL tutor. Oh, you're over in South Africa. So depends on what you want to do with your career a bit. But first thing, obviously, if you get time, Kimenta, is add a profile picture so people can get to know who you are. The theme is the same for most everybody. Have some kind of, opposite colored background to you. Make sure you stand out against it. Bright colors are helpful, especially in the writing space. I see a lot of writers that use like purple and green and yellow behind their head. I think it makes it stand out, especially if your work is language, storytelling, writing, communication. If you're in that kind of field, then you're going to have an opportunity to like write for a lot of different causes and things. And so you want to stand out, right? There's a lot of other people in this space, not to say that you can't do it, but you want to stand out in the crowd. You could probably remove MBA graduate, just broadly speaking at this point, unless you see or hear from people that are like, hey, do you have an MBA? If they start really caring as you get more jobs and in the field, you'll get a sense of what that feels like.
That's very funny because it was going to be the question I was about to ask.
Yeah.
Just because I personally have a tendency not to put it on very many things. I also had a wild experience when I got mine. So I just didn't do it very much unless it was very specific of I'm applying for a position. Then obviously it's going to be very forefront. But I was going to ask if that's my thought was a reorder, not necessarily removal, but just a reorder of the writing, storytelling, and communication being at the forefront, because that really feels like the most important piece for them. And the MBA graduate can be at the back rather than at the front.
Yeah, I might even write this. You could clip, if MBA is important, and I understand you put a lot of work into getting to that point, so please don't take it the wrong way when I say get rid of it. It's just more of you've done the work. And so unless it's a requirement for a job, I would remove it, because more often than not, what you're really going to convey is the experiences that you've had and the things that you like to do. And people want to get to know you. And I actually don't mind MBA graduate down in your about section.
Yep.
I think that reads well.
Yeah, and that's more of the point I think you're making, is going all the way, back to the first one with Muhammad, is that this is what people see when you post, and so it's more about that than it is about the MBA graduate type thing, because when you post, that's literally the first thing that they're going to read now about you, is that. So that's why I think being at the forefront of the thing that is coming across as very important to you is the writing, storytelling, and communication, or some other version of that, like going back to the other things that have been previously discussed.
Yeah. I also would write your headline's actually not far off. And I understand purpose-led work, especially when you're kind of declaring this idea that I want to work with meaningful causes. And I love that's why I do this. I like helping people, right? And I like being helpful to people. And so here you have that same opportunity. It's like, you could say purpose-led writing, storytelling, and communication could be a thing, or I help develop purpose-led writing, storytelling, communication, or something along those lines, right? Meaningful causes. Until you kind of solidify your niche, you could work in that capacity. Now, same could be said with your banner is okay until you get to a point that you've got your business rolling. Now, if your business is going to be ESL tutor for a while, which is fine, there's a lot of business doing that. So if you're going to spend your time teaching English all day, right, and doing that, then put that up here, right? If that's the goal, or if that's like the business goal right now, do that. You could also label that here. It's like ESL teacher who helps people with purpose-led writing, storytelling, and communication. You know, there's a lot of fun stuff you can play around with there. Then from that, trying to think of what else might be next. If you have a website, take the time, put it in. There's a little button you can add right here. It's in the edit settings in the upper right hand corner, if you don't know. I just connected with you, Kimenta, so by all means, like you can DM me and ask me more questions about this later too. Then your about section really is a lot of the same stuff that we were talking about previously, which is let's just bring in what the goal for your business is, and then the rest of it is like very thoughtful about how you work and what you care about. So then add in from there how to contact you. Like, hey, DM me for these services in ESL, or these services in, I'm a freelance writer, or I'm a contract copywriter. You could pick your category.
Yeah, and then for the featured section, so as just an outside observer and reading everything you've written thus far, like in everything we've discussed, I want your featured section to be some of your writing, because like I'm interested at this point. Like at this point, like seeing how you've approached the About Me section, I'm interested enough that like I would click on it if you had a piece of your writing in your featured section. Like that's just what I think.
I think it's a good call out too. Yeah, especially if you've gotten to this point, you're going to want to read something from you. You haven't posted on LinkedIn more than what looks like a comment, so you might just be getting started for the first time. And 240 followers is not nothing either. So it's a start for sure. And it seems like you're going to get active on the platform. So if you feel so inclined, you can make some posts that actually share your writing or your style of writing or some successes you've had, and start down that road. You can embed articles into a LinkedIn featured section too. Articles meaning if you wrote it on a Google Doc or some other platform, or on a PDF, you can upload it here and it'll be there for people to download and view and just get a sense of working with you. So yeah, not too bad though either. I mean, you have a myriad of experiences, and I'm imagining you're kind of like just getting started in your career too. So yeah, hats off to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think from the post perspective, if sharing your writing is not something that you're comfortable with, which I very much understand as someone who's written quite a few things and who is very, very comfortable with the editing process, to the point where I've done freelance writing where I know I'm the writer and someone else's job is to make it look better. So like I wouldn't be personally overly comfortable sharing my raw writing, just because I need an editor that it goes through. But a lot of the stuff that you've referenced speaks to ideas. And so like those make great posts, especially on here. And like you also have direct experience as an ESL tutor. So I think there's a lot of information that you could mine to create like series worth of posts about tips and tricks on writing better, which is also a super valuable tool for anyone that's on LinkedIn that is in turn writing their own posts, especially if they are trying to approach it from a similar viewpoint as you know, when you're speaking to the emotional intelligence and meaningful human focused work and things like that. So like that's just a bit of advice on if you were trying to really structure and do a lot of posts. I think there's a lot there that you have to work with.
Yeah. Amen. So Kaventa, hopefully that helped you too and got you kicked off. So we ran through about 5 profiles while we were here. If anybody else is actually interested in more of that, in my profile on LinkedIn, I do have a link out to go into Roast Your Post, and you can go join that, add your stuff in. We will keep doing these on a weekly basis. I have a lot more to go through. So this has been basically an hour of hanging out and trying to walk through a lot of these. And I think there's themes with each one, but everybody has their own unique perspective. And I think that's what everybody needs to remember, is that you are your own person. A lot of what you want to do in LinkedIn is what you would imagine. You just have to get a little more comfortable with it, which is exposing you and sharing who you are and what you care about, what you're passionate about. People want to get to know you, especially in the age of AI, right? We're getting into a space where it's so easy for AI to generate pretty much everything, right? And the more we can get direct connection like this, we get to know each other and get to have that more meaningful connection, which leads to business and leads to all the other great stuff. Opportunities show up. So depending on the space that you're in, share more about yourself. And that's what these profiles start to do. So hopefully it's helpful. Ryan Yaki, as always, thanks for watching. And Neil is here with us too. So,
Yep.
And that's it, gang. Thanks for watching.